Resolution number 2839, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing acquisition of real property from Meridian United Church of Christ.
Thank you. Do we have any further staff information council should receive on this?
So this is an item that counts as is typical with real estate transactions. This has been an item being discussed in executive session, but in order to decide whether to go forward with negotiations and also what the price will be, we need to talk about it in open session. So just briefly, the church approached the mayor probably 6 weeks to a month ago, I'm thinking now, and stated that they were interested in selling the church. Their membership numbers have dropped and the space is large for them. They were interested in having the church go for a public purpose, and especially in saving the chapel, the little old chapel and bell tower. So the city council has been discussing whether or not the city would have a use for this church and whether there was funding available for this church over the last several weeks. We just got out of executive session in talking about that, and I think the council is ready to discuss it in open session. So I will let the mayor lead off on that discussion.
Mayor, I just want to state for the record, we did do an appraisal for the property, which council has reviewed as well, which is the normal part of operations for city government, to do an appraisal before making an offer.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point, and that appraisal will be shared with the church as well.
Councilor Lehan.
In case the public is listening, what church are we talking about, and where is it located?
That was in the title of the resolution, but it is
it's in the title of the resolution. But if someone is just listening to the
so it's well, if you'd like to, the church is located at 6750 Southwest Beckman Road in Wilsonville. It's across from the Frog Pond development. It's the little church with the little white chapel and the bell tower, and then a bigger church and additional buildings behind there.
Now I think people will know what we're talking about.
So the discussion that has been had, and I believe each member of the council has toured the property in one way or the other and is familiar now with it. And the discussion that we have had, just for the public's benefit, is the potential uses for a variety of community kind of events eventually after COVID, I guess. We've talked about the need for a performing arts space. We've talked about the need for additional meeting space. There are a variety of different social and groups that look to find space space available for meetings here in the community. And all of those kinds of needs are potentially something that could be met with this facility. The church group itself would like to be able to continue to meet there for a while, and the council has talked about the potential to facilitate that at least through the year 2021, while we are figuring out a longer term strategy and plan and assessment on how this facility might be used to benefit the community the most. This is a unplanned for and not frequently seen opportunity that has arisen where we might help with the kind of the situation that this particular church is in, but not to do this whole transaction for their benefit, but to do it for the benefit of the broad community in many different ways. So figuring out how to do that is something that we would do through the coming year. The council has discussed in executive session that we, based on the information brought forth with the appraisal and the as yet still to be resolved issues, whether we would proceed. The proposal is that we would make an offer with certain things to be reviewed analysis of the building and the grounds, the engineering, the environmental, all of that kind of thing, ultimately before we would finalize a deal, but that we would make an offer to this ownership of the congregation of $900,000 with the, what's the right word, Barbara?
That we've got due diligence
The
to do on contingency.
due diligence to be done. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. So council, could we hear perspectives of anyone that would like to comment?
Hey, Mayor, before
Yes.
you get into discussion, could I recommend a motion in a second?
That would probably be a good idea.
Thank you.
Is there a motion with regard to resolution 2839? Councilor Linville?
Your Honor, I move that we approve resolution number 2839. Is that correct? Is that the correct number?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor, I'll second. Your Honor, I'll second.
I thought Councilor Ackerval had her name up first.
Or you, who, either one.
So a second by Councilor Ackerval. Now we can have discussion. Normally we could start with the maker of the motion. If you would like to discuss, Councilor Linville.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Sorry about the background noise. That's what you get with a Zoom meeting. So I have had an opportunity, as we all have, to look at this proposal. I think it's remarkable that this community group has requested that the city consider acquisition of this property with their community service mission in mind. And given that we are over committed in activities in our senior center and in many of our other facilities, I believe this is an opportunity for us, especially with the development out in the Frog Pond area, for us to have a facility that for uses that will be determined in the future, but certainly in concert with some of the needs that have already been expressed by the citizens in our community, which include some arts and culture and performance areas. So I think it is an ideal situation as long as we do our due diligence and are completely convinced that it is in the best interest of our community to go forward with the purchase. I am in full agreement that we propose this. And just a quick comment about the price. Given the appraisal that was done, I think the city has chosen a good place to begin negotiations with the seller. So I am totally in favor of this purchase going through.
Thank you. Councilor Ackerval.
Thank you. I think that the needs of meeting spaces and community gathering points right now, it's quite unusual. But this is a long-term vision. And I think the work of council is not just to satisfy the current dynamic, but planning for the long term as well. So as has been said, ideas proposed can be a community center space for the arts, space used by service organizations, as it is in use to some extent now, or different meeting spaces. I'm reflecting that in our community survey that we recently did, community center spaces actually did receive lower marks than some of the other areas. And so maybe this is an area where our community can improve and there's opportunity here, but of course all of this will take time. So I appreciate council's careful discussion on this and the proposal that we're putting forward that allows us to continue to do the due diligence, continue to do research that the offer is supported by the work that has already been done with the appraisal. And I look forward to seeing the opportunities as things unfold. So I'm supportive of this action.
Thank you very much. Other comments?
Oh.
Councilor Lehan.
Yes, I would echo what's been said, especially Councilor Linville was saying appreciates that the congregation came to the city and initially because they have been a part of the city, for many decades before we were a city, and so they have a very long history with Wilsonville and the Frog Pond area especially, but really all of Wilsonville. And partly because of that, I think it's, I'm excited about taking care of the old chapel in addition, because it is one of the oldest standing buildings in Wilsonville. And so it's a lot older than the McMinimans old church. So anyway, it's good that we can protect that going forward in the future as well as having all the potential for community use, and to allow the senior center, which gradually the community center has become the senior center. And now we will eventually be able to allow the senior center to be the senior center and not have to try to do double duty, which is often awkward. We'll have a fuller community center and it can be the senior center.
Thank you. Other comments or discussion? Councilor West.
Thank you. This has been a really enjoyable process up to this point with the rest of the council, and it's been exciting. And I think even though, like Council President Akebal said, it seems maybe timing wise a little different, but sometimes the vision of the process is very unifying and exciting. And it seems like a very good investment into the community. I'm really thankful that we're a city that has the resources to be able to even have this conversation and to find solutions that are a win-win while protecting heritage sites within the community, and then offering more opportunities into the future. I know that we've talked about a diverse number of uses for this property that will, I believe, enrich Wilsonville for generations. And I'm really thankful that I work with a council that sees that vision, and that we all see that vision and have excitement around it. And I think that we have thought long and hard in a very mindful way on the price, the economics of it, the timing, and how to be fair and equitable throughout the process. And I think we've come to that point now in doing it. And so I'm in full support of this, and look forward to seeing how this plays out, and how this benefits Wilsonville as a whole.
Thank you very much. I have to say that I'm in agreement with everything I've heard. I appreciate the comment that it's nice that the city's in a financial position to be able to do something like this when an unexpected opportunity arises. I do want to remind the council and the public that the reason that we're in that kind of financial situation is the hard work that council and staff have done over the last decade to build our reserves, to build our contingency funds, to have a stable foundation, and that we are in very solid shape, and continue to believe that that will be the case going forward, even with the challenges that we now face. That certainly is not true of every other community in the region, and I'm proud of our community here and the work that the councils have done leading to the point that we're at. So the church is the church community there is facing some difficult financial decisions one way or the other. I think it would be a very significant win for the whole community, as well as for that church community, to find a way for this facility to be utilized going into the future as a social point within the community that would enhance in many ways. And so I'm in favor of this, even though we don't know all the details going forward. The city would have to undergo a kind of a long-term visioning and planning process for this facility. The idea that the existing church community could continue to meet there under the proposed agreement through the year 2021, and that we will, as a city, you know, with their participation, talk about how this would work beyond that. Certainly, we do not intend for the church to be the exclusive user going forward, but I think that they could be part of the group of different entities that use this facility in a negotiated plan that would go forward. So I think there's lots and lots of possibilities that are very positive. I'm hopeful that we can have a meeting of the minds with that church community and can proceed with this idea under the proposal. So I'm in favor of what we have in front of us today also. Any other discussion council would like to have? If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor of the motion to approve resolution 2839 as has been read and discussed, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
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 We have a unanimous vote in. Thank you very much.
Mayor, just one other item, in executive session, the city attorney briefed you, who she has to leave because she's got an interview, on a letter proposed by her. I reviewed the draft and gave her my comments, so you would just need to authorize us to send that letter by a voice vote.
So this is a letter concerning what a
Aurora Airport.
Department of Aviation proposal to do additional work and build some additional facilities at the Aurora Airport.
Correct.
Do we have discussion council would like to have at this point? Councilor Linville.
After you do a motion in a second.
I was going to make a motion.
Yeah, let's do that first. Please go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like to move that we authorize the staff to submit a letter in response to the draft environmental assessment that was done on the Aurora Airport for work to be done within the airport facility.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilor Akkerval, second. A couple other seconds. Councilor Akkerval, second. Now discussion, please. Councilor Linville, would you like to comment first?
Click in the wrong spot. I keep clicking in the wrong spot. Yes, Your Honor, I would like to just clarify that the letter that I believe we are authorizing the city to send is a response to the draft environmental assessment, and that consistent with our other actions that the council has taken, that there are concerns particularly over the noise study, which was not conducted as a part of the environmental assessment, as well as some recommendations on several of the options that were offered for the work that could be done there at the airport. So I think it's important. One of the things that is an item is that in that draft environmental assessment, there is a continual reference to a 2013 master plan for the Aurora Airport, which does not exist, and it is actually referencing the 2012 master plan, I believe, and they consider it to be a typo. But given that there is litigation currently pending and these recommendations are being done based on the 2012 master plan, I think it's appropriate for us to respond.
Thank you. And just for council's recollection, we are, some of that litigation is contesting whether or not the 2012 master plan is even legitimate and valid based on what was or was not leading up to that. So a couple of different issues here. Councilor Akeball, any comments as the second?
Sure, I'll just say that I agree with the comments made by Councilor Linville, and this concept seems consistent to the discussion that we've had and actions taken by council on the broader topic as a whole.
Thank you. Councilor Linville, something else you need?
Well, I just wanted to make an additional comment, and that is that the noise study is actually required as part of the regulations that the ODA has. And it is based on the number of flights that are anticipated, and the numbers that are anticipated, which appear in the environmental assessment document itself, exceed the number requiring a noise study. And the impact for Wilsonville, I think, needs to be clarified because it does impact Wilsonville, the southern end of our city, that abuts Miley Road, but also across the river, right at the north end of the Willamette. So I think they need to follow their own regulations in terms of conducting a noise study in the best interest of the city in general.
Thank you. Councilor Lehan.
Yes, I am also very concerned about that they have an adequate noise study and a current noise study, because it used to be that it was just Charbonneau and Daydream that were, Daydream on the north side of the river, that were impacted predominantly from these flights coming out of Aurora, or going in for that matter. But now they're buzzing around my house, and I'm way over on the west side in Park at Merrifield, and the size of jets coming in, and some of them are very low coming over my house, and they come very early in the morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and here comes a big jet. So it's important that we get an adequate noise study and understand what they're proposing in terms of larger and larger planes coming in. So.
Other comments? I guess I would add that there is a little bit in the letter. One of the concerns is that their proposed engine run-up area that they would construct, and whether that is needed in fact for the current level of activity at the airport, or whether that is designed as a prelude to accommodating more larger aircraft, coincidental with their proposal to extend the runway and strengthen it somewhat to accommodate larger aircraft. So I think we need to be very careful and very clear that they're not just adding facilities that have future purposes, primarily not current purpose primarily, without getting into the amount of study work that would be needed to actually be doing the runway extensions and expansions that they are not yet ready to do. So asking for that clarity in this letter is another piece that we're trying to promote. Councilor Lehan?
Yes, and I would also clarify that the Aurora Airport has been here a long time, and the city has supported the Aurora Airport for a long time, and the businesses there. that have to do with Columbia Helicopter and the many little prop planes that have always been coming and going out of Aurora. This is a different situation with these large jets, and they want even larger jets to be able to come in with bigger fuel loads. So, so it's become a different situation than it was for the last 50 years. It's a shift, and we need to be sure we understand what their intention is and what protections are in place for the community.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to my comments also that the city has advocated for some years now that the Department of Aviation needs to follow the statutes about public process and about decision process on making alterations that affect the public when we don't believe they have been doing so for several years based on things that have happened. But here we are. So this is a assessment, and this happens. The comment period is over here this week, and we wanted to be sure to get comments in. Councilor Lindblom?
I just have one quick comment, Your Honor, and that is that in that environmental assessment, the draft, and the company that was hired to do the assessment indicates that the only affected areas are Marion County and the city of Aurora. So once again, the city of Wilsonville has not been included in issues that impact our city, may impact our city directly.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments? So we have a motion and a second and discussion to send this letter. We vote. All in favor of the motion to send the letter with regarding to the environmental assessment draft, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
No.
We have 4 in favor and Mr. West voting in opposition. Thank you very much. Passes 4-1. Any further business, Mr. Cosgrove?
No, sir.
All right, council, anything further we need to have? If not, I'm about ready to call us adjourned at 1:05, and I will see you all soon. Have an enjoyable month, even in the COVID era, if you can. Thank you very much. I will call us adjourned at 1:04 p.m.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.